This is the second small group discussion with J. Krishnamurti and Gstaad, 1965.
Could you tell us something perhaps about the difficulty in avoiding the formation of an in-group and an out-group, and the conflict which ensues between them?
I don't quite follow what you mean by in-group and out-group. If that's what you mean, if I understood those words, in-group.
Yes. Whenever there is a centre of power or knowledge, there always comes about that centre a body of people.
In that, I see. The inner group and the outer group. Echo. Is there an inner group here?
Well, this is why I asked the question, because I feel that there is, perhaps.
I don't know who has made it, sir, and I don't know if it exists, but we certainly are not responsible for it.
Oh, no.
If you consider...
But I would like to talk perhaps about the prevention of conflict between what might be termed the in-group and what might be termed an out-group.
I don't know if you were here, sir, last time, but some of us, the gentleman and Joseph, sir, we came to a certain point.
Yes, we were discussing something.
And you don't mind if we go on with that?
Yes, sir.
And then perhaps, if we have time, we can come back to what we were talking. Shall we go on with that, sir?
Yes.
What were we saying?
We go back to, so we started last time with considering who is it that sees? Who is it, when you come into a room, who is it that sees? When there's perception, who is it that sees the flowers or the hills of the trees? Who is it who is aware? It started as a discussion on awareness, and then you were asked, who is it that sees? We didn't finish that, sir.
And we went on a little further than that, didn't we?
Yes.
Went into habit.
We went into habit and conflict.
Possible to cut the main root.
Yes.
Of
All the
That's
conflict.
it. That's it. How can we tackle this? All right, let's proceed. If I remember rightly, we were saying that we had so many conscious and unconscious habits. Acquired or inherited, cultivated or thrust upon us by society, by environment, right? And if we take each habit or the area of a particular habit and analyze it, examine it, get rid of it, it will take considerable time to go through the whole process. Right, so that was...
Yes.
Then what is one to do? Is it possible to free the mind of this whole of this whole process of habit, not only prevent it from arising, but also deal with the habits that it already has. Right, sir? That's what we said,
Yes.
don't we?
Yes.
Now, how would you do it? If it is correct that it would take indefinitely long time to uproot every habit, one by one, and in the very process of getting rid of one, you are already cultivating another. Right? So, if one sees that is not the way, right, sir, then what would you do? How would you proceed? Do we agree that it cannot be done that way?
Yes. What my interpretation was that, and I think we covered it a little last time, was that if you look into the past to correct this, the past is dead. If we look to the future, then we speculate. So the only thing we came up with, or I came up with, was I didn't know. Then you said, how do you feel when
Yes,
you don't
I'm
know?
coming to that. I want to brush that up for the moment, approach differently, anew.
Okay.
Logically, one sees that it would take considerable time to get rid of each habit. And in the getting rid of one habit, aren't you also cultivating another habit? Another routine, another repetition, right?
If you use a method or a system or some
Or
form
any,
of will, yes, but
or any other process.
well, what does it you mean by awareness? Is this a process? Is awareness?
No, I don't want to use those particular words now. Awareness. Look, let's start anew, shall we? Quickly. I have got many problems. I've got many habits, conscious as well as unconscious habits, dozens of them. Because I've been brought up in a particular society, religion, all the rest of it. Now, I see that I cannot get rid of them one by one. It's only possible to strip myself of all habit, right? Get rid of them completely and not create new ones all the time. Now, I see that. What am I to do? You follow it? I can be aware of one habit, aware in the sense, watch it, see the whole significance of it.
Now, doesn't this have the effect of dissolving it without any effort when the...
It does.
Yeah.
So, but there are other habits which I have to become aware.
And as one becomes increasingly aware, doesn't one come to the central point from
So that all that will take time. I may do it, do with each conscious habit, right? But there are unconscious habits, of which I am not quite sure, of which I don't know. So if I am to be aware of each habit, or my question would be, by being aware of one habit totally, will I not be aware totally for all the habits? Will I not be aware of the mechanism of habit forming? Right?
But the habit is already formed.
The habit is already formed by examining or by being aware of that one habit which has already been formed. By being aware of it, will I be aware of the whole mechanism of habit forming? The whole machinery, the oil, the urge, the subtleties of the brain that forms habits.
In other words, each time that you start doing this habit, it's just like the habit is new again, and if you can watch that...
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I have a particular habit. Smoking. We'll take that as an example. If I am aware of that habit and aware of the mechanism of the process of creating habits, you follow? If I become aware of the mechanism that creates habits, need I go through all the habits? I wonder if you're making my point.
But in the beginning, one is insensitive enough to be aware of this core, so to speak, the root. Isn't this true?
That's true.
So, not to get back in the hassle on time again, you mentioned something in your books about realizing one's insensitivity. The thing to do is to leave the mind lie fallow.
I'm coming, just let, you don't, so look, I want to think of this anew. I can't repeat what I said, unfortunately.
Well, the only thing I was mentioning it for, doesn't lying fallow in a certain sense imply a duration in which sensitivity...
No, I know. No, let me proceed a little bit. Will you listen to me for 2 minutes and then we can go. I've got a habit. And I see that merely getting rid of one habit after another will not resolve habit forming. Right? I may get rid of one habit by being aware and knowing all the tricks.
This point that you're speaking of, where one becomes aware that getting rid of them one at a time is an indefinite process, is not something that one is aware of immediately. It's a point, in a sense, that one comes to.
That's right.
Right, go ahead.
I've come to that point.
Mm-hmm.
I've come to the point when I see it's impossible to get rid of all habits this way. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Then what am I to do?
Don't we come to the point where we have to admit we don't know what to do?
Yes, and then what will you do? You come to the point you don't know what to do, right? Then how will you proceed?
Well, let's look at the self in this state of not knowing.
In a state of not knowing, you don't know you have the habit either.
How would your mind operate with regard to such a problem? You understand my question? There is the problem, there is a question, which is, by getting rid of one habit, you will not be able to get rid of all the others. To get rid of each one will take a long time. You come to the point, you see that's not the way. Right? Right, sir? Then how will you answer it? What does your mind do with such a problem? Let me put it that way.
They say it's impossible then.
Would you say it's impossible? And leave it?
That's what we usually do.
No, what will you do?
for the motives that motivate this habit.
Yes, motives. We've been through all that. You look at the motive, you look at how it has been formed, but you have to do that with each problem. Right? With each issue, with each habit.
Is there not a fundamental motive?
If there is there a fundamental motive for the habit forming?
I don't think that habit is a matter of motive. I think it's the way I've always understood it. You perform an action, any action, and then you perform it again, and already it's easier. And even as you know how to perform it, not for any motive, there's 1,000 different motives. It's the motive of eating, the motive of walking.
Pleasure and all the rest of it.
But then you perform it once and twice, and the only way to get rid of habit would be to perform no action twice.
How will you do it? Knowing that all activity which we indulge in is routine, habit, repeated over and over and over again.
Well, you could never take another step twice.
No, don't reduce that.
Well, that's, walking is a habit that you've learned. from young.
No. That's what we're not saying. Walking is a habit, is it?
It's a habit. It's a process. It's learned.
Is that what we are talking about when we use the word habit?
I think it must involve that. It must involve all repeated processes that are easy because of the repetition. Virtue is a habit on a higher plane.
As you
Vice
see,
is a bad
all right.
habit.
There is the physical habit, the mechanical physical habit over which you have no control, right?
Yes.
Then there are the habits cultivated by pleasure or pain, in which we are caught. The mind is caught in that, or the brain is caught in that. Now, so we form habits because we want to make life very easy. To fall into a groove. A particular thought, I've always thought that way, I'll go on thinking that way. It is that particular groove which we call habit of which we are talking about. Right? Not the physical automatic habit.
But sir, when you speak about this desire to get rid of all habit,
I know. No, I'm not saying to get rid of it. We are pointing out that if there is a particular habit which is painful or nauseous or not worthwhile, not only how to get rid of it, without effort, without struggle, without pain and all the rest of it, but also there are other habits of which I am not conscious. We're not talking of the automatic habits of the physical organism. We are talking of the habits created by the brain or by the mind, along which the mind functions, like a tramp car.
would you distinguish between good and bad habits?
Oh, no, a habit we are talking, neither good nor bad.
Neither good nor bad. Can something be neither good nor bad?
We're talking of habit, not what is good habit and what is bad habit. We're talking of habits. So, may I put the question differently? How would you approach or come in with grips with a problem? How do you tackle a problem like this?
I think the best place is to look at the source. Examine the different solutions. This is the way I probably would. And pick the best of the possible.
So you choose a particular, amongst various methods, a particular one. Huh?
Yes.
Now, the choice is based on what?
What I think is the best, I guess.
No. What is the choice based on?
It'd be like roads. Perhaps you choose the best road. If you had 5 roads, you wanted to get to someplace, you choose the shortest and the quickest.
How do you know it is the shortest, quickest? Somebody has to tell you, or you have been on it already, and therefore it's a habit already.
Yes.
So here is a problem of which you are not acquainted with, you are not familiar with. It is not a thing that somebody is going to tell you what to do, what not to do. How does your mind work when you are confronted with a problem of this kind? You follow, sir, what I'm... How does it approach it? Do you say, well, as Madame Labor says, give it up, impossible. Throw it out of the window.
It has a tendency to do whatever it can in regard to it in order to change it, or until it gets to the point where it sees the futility of this type of operation. Then
we have come to the point when you see the futility of such an operation.
All right, now you see that any movement on the part of your mind with regard to any problem only gives it continuity, and you realize that this is, in a sense, what the mind wants, to give the problem continuity, because then it has a reason for being, something to
So
do.
how does your mind work with regard to it?
When it sees
The futility of what it is doing.
right.
Right.
And
Then what will you do?
You have to stop.
it stops.
Huh?
Stop.
Stops?
Yes.
All right. Then what will you... Proceed. Go on. You have stopped.
Verbally, you're saying that when one gets to the point when one realizes one doesn't know, and then in this state of not knowing, this is the state of sensitivity that you're speaking of, in which no problems.
I am not... Forget me.
Well,
How will you tackle... How will you... what will you do with this?
When one realizes that one can't do anything without making matters worse, one doesn't do anything.
Now, are you doing with regard to this?
In a certain sense.
Wait, now proceed. Let's proceed. That is, you see the futility of getting rid of habits one by one, and you see there must be a different way of tackling this whole problem. The problem of habit forming, right? So, you have come to the point where you say, I really don't know, I'll stop. I'll wait. I'll look around. Is that it?
If it's a conscious thing, no. If you come to the point where you really see that it's futile, well, then there's no saying I'll do this or I'll do that. There's just a cessation of effort mentally.
So, why don't you do that?
One gets to that point.
No, do it. Here is a problem. Put it in front of you, and you know you can't do anything about it. Then you watch it, don't you? Right? You watch, there is a watchfulness not only of the problem, but of the mind itself that's watching the problem. Right?
Right.
That is, the mind is aware not only of itself, but of the problem. Right? Are you following, sir? Now, let's find out what we mean by aware in that limited sense, in that particular case. The mind is aware of the problem and aware of itself watching the problem. Right? Now, is it watching the problem as something apart from itself? I'm watching that flower. Am I aware of that flower as something outside of myself, or am I aware of the mind that is watching the flower, and so separating itself as the watcher and the thing watched? I wonder, right? Which is it that you're doing?
Suppose there are moments we do both.
You observe a little while, take a little patience, let's be patient with it. Sir, leave that problem for the moment, we'll come back to it. You watch that flower. Be aware of that flower. Are you aware of it botanically or non-botanically? Botanically in the sense, knowledge, all that, botanical knowledge. Are you watching that flower through botanical knowledge, or are you watching or being aware of that flower non-botanically?
I'm watching it when the mind isn't making any movement, or at least it wasn't until now, any movement with regard to it.
But when you watch it, begins to operate, begins to move, doesn't it?
No, not particularly.
All right. When you pay attention to it, let's put it that way, what takes place? When you give attention to that flower, what takes place? Don't you say that's a daisy? Huh? Then what do? Just watch it?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Now, when you watch it, are you watching it as something apart from you?
I don't know. I'm not. If the mind does anything with regard to it, then it's made it something outside. But when the mind doesn't move, I couldn't say whether it's.
Yes. Therefore, when you look at it, your mind is quiet. Your mind is still.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Right. In the same way, when you have this problem of habit, can you look at the whole mechanism of habit forming without a movement?
At times.
No, not at times. Can you do it?
Yes.
Then what takes place?
Nothing.
Right?
Right.
Then the mind is looking at habit without a movement.
There's when this takes place, the habit isn't there. I mean, it's not looking at anything.
Precede that habit isn't there.
Right.
Then
There's no problem.
that's
This, I should let it go at that. But,
let it go. Let it go. Let it go. See what happens.
one has been to this point before.
Then habit has a different meaning altogether.
Has no meaning at all.
Has a meaning altogether.
I mean, in this particular
Yes.
point.
I can establish a habit consciously, like cleaning my teeth, very carefully, and forget it. So that I don't spend my energy each time on how to brush the teeth. right?
But I'm not sure of this awareness, not also one must have much energy all the time to catch the new and forget the old. I have it sometimes, but times later then I fall back into idol or in a pattern. And I know it, but I cannot help me.
You are saying, sir, is it that you are aware after the thing has taken place? Is that it?
Yes, perhaps.
And to be aware demands a great deal of energy. Is that it?
Yes.
Huh? Right?
Yes.
So you're saying, how am I to have this energy to be aware? Right?
Yes.
How do you get energy? Do you get energy by speculating about it or by doing it?
Rather by doing it.
Huh? By doing it.
Yes.
Not have energy to do, but getting energy by doing. Right?
Yes.
Right, sir?
Yes.
By doing. By doing, by being aware, you have energy. Not that you store up energy and then you become aware. Huh?
That's the thing I always do. To gather energy.
We say have energy to do, have energy to act, have energy to be aware. But does energy come by itself first or by doing, being, acting, being aware? Surely. The other way around, isn't it? Right?
Yes.
So, if I am aware of that flower, that very, very awareness is energy.
But I've always...
Wait. Right? By being aware, awareness itself creates energy. Right?
no.
Therefore, what takes place? Proceed step by step. I am not aware all the time. Why should I be aware all the time? But I know if I am aware, if there is an awareness, even for a second, that creates tremendous energy, doesn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Then proceed. You go on, you stop there. So the energy which has come about by being aware, that energy brings about greater awareness, right? More intense. Not that I have to try to be aware. I don't. You get it, sir?
In other words, when I'm aware of that, and this thing builds up momentum, I feel that it builds up momentum because there's no outside thoughts
Quite.
sapping this energy off.
Oh, quite.
And I can kind of see where this would build a snowball.
So, that's right.
Yes, but don't I have to try to be aware in the first place?
That is, I be aware completely of the flower. That awareness, the act of that awareness is energy. And few minutes later, be equally aware of that pot or that tray. You follow? Of the color of the room. So,
Yes, but we always have this idea that we should be aware.
oh no, kick it out. Why should you be aware? Because somebody tells you?
Well, is this choice also tied in with habit?
Of course, sir.
Which choice? Which choice?
All choice, all
Yeah.
choice.
Like the other day we talked about right food. Well, there's millions of foods. But to know right food,
How do you find out what is right diet? You experiment. Very quickly you can find out if your body is fairly sensitive. But we have abused the body so much that it's not sensitive. Right? So you find out what are the things that will make the body extremely sensitive.
and then as you find that out, then you're dealing on fact and choice is eliminated.
Exactly. Then your tongue won't dictate what you should eat.
Sir, you were talking before about the matter of energy with awareness. I'm not entirely sure, what is the reality behind the word energy? Is there such thing as energy with regard to the spirit and the mind? You talk about...
So there is physical energy, but the organic energy, which is lessened by disease, by bad, habits. Drinking, smoking, all the business of it. So there is the physical energy and there is the active mental brain energy, right?
That's what I'm not sure of. I know that the brain is an organ. The more you think, biologically, you can only think for an hour, 2 hours strongly, and then you must do
Subside.
exercise, etc. But of the mind and of the spirit, is there such thing as energy?
What do you mean spirit?
Well, something that whatever you can't put your hands on.
That's the mind. Let's call that for the moment the mind, not the spirit and the mind and all that. So isn't there an energy which is not merely physical? Now, what is taking place here? You and I are talking. We are exercising energy by thinking about something. that thinking can be automatic, because I've thought about this a dozen times. I've come to some conclusions about the matter, and according to that conclusions I answer. Therefore, it's not building up energy, it's a repetition. Right? But if each time I examine something, there is not a formulation, then each time it's new energy, isn't it?
Well, I can see where about this habit, going along with choice, and then to me, they kind of branch off. And then when I'm left with this choice business, I can see where there's infinite amount of choice, unlimited. If I base my choice then on previous experience, it's dead.
Quite.
Again, if I go to the future,
It's dead also.
speculating.
Yes, quite.
So then I'm left with a problem.
No,
of not-
with the fact.
with the fact,
That's
yeah,
all.
of not knowing what to do.
All right, proceed.
And there I'm stuck.
No. If your mind is quiet, the fact is going to decide.
Staying in that state.
Of course. Then the fact and your relationship to the fact is going to produce an action.
Well, then in the past, maybe I haven't stayed in that state of not knowing long enough.
Obviously, sir. There is a fact here. You either choose or interpret or discard. But if you don't do any of those things, but only look at the fact, your relationship to the fact is different, isn't it? Quite a different action is going to take place.
That's right.
Which is not based on choice.
Doesn't fear enter in when you come to the point where you don't know what to do? You're afraid to stay in that.
Yes. What do you mean by fear? If you know what to do with a fact, you have no fear, have you? It's only when we don't know what to do, then fear creeps in. Right? Now, so when fear creeps in, we choose, interpret, or throw it out, or run away. Right? But if you realize that you cannot run away, choose, interpret, or do anything about it, you remain quiet, don't you? Watch it. In that there is no fear. It's only when we don't know what to do, then the fear comes in.
Could we apply this to something simple? Like
What?
you go to buy a shirt, and you see two that you like, but you can only have one.
Yes.
One you might like the style, but the other you like the color.
Correct.
So you don't know.
Wait, what do you do? Proceed. What do you do?
Try to decide which is most important, the style or the color.
Huh?
Try to decide which is the most important.
Or you leave that shop and go to another shop to find out. Right?
Well, I've made some bad buys a lot. But I can see where possibly leaving it for a while. Then come back and look again.
I feel that this question of buying things, which I have felt many times, it
interferes with fear of doing the right thing, which you mentioned the other day.
But what is the right thing about a shirt?
Well, it might not be, but we put that there.
That's again interpretation
Yes.
according to a formula.
Yes.
Sir, what of the matter of curiosity? Suppose your mind is presented with a problem, and you have no fear about it because it doesn't touch you.
But you're curious about it.
Intensely curious. You want to find
And
it.
you proceed with it.
And your mind just keeps digging away at it.
Yes.
Even when it can no longer has the chance, yet it's always there. And not fear. I don't think it's more. I don't know what curiosity is. It's a
Could be habit.
could be habit.
It could be, yes, quite.
But I wondered, do you think does curiosity exist as an emotion, a separate entity?
Obviously, so it does exist as a curiosity.
It's even
They want to go and see what the Mars is like.
Or is it a composite, perhaps, of a little bit of fear?
No, they want to know what there is life on Mars.
Yes. Oh, take something like that. Now, suppose you had no chance of finding out, and yet you were intensely curious. Could you just put the problem aside?
You would have a dilemma.
You would.
You might find it to be an escape too. But wandering there, we're avoiding what's here.
Of course.
So we could live in what's on Mars, and this could go to pot.
It generally goes to pot too.
What?
It generally goes to pot.
But you cannot have a problem which is not touching you and be curious about it. Because as soon as you're curious about it and begin to inquire into it...
It's your problem. Quite, absolutely.
And therefore you must
Quite right.
then inquire into it very deeply, because inquiring about life on Mars, for instance, is searching for a solution to your problems here from outside.
Quite.
But isn't curiosity the beginning of learning?
Partly.
I mean, you must
No,
have-
wait a minute, sir. You will have to differentiate between learning and acquiring knowledge. Is acquiring knowledge learning?
No.
Sir, I met a group this morning, small group of older people. I'm talking all the time, seeing people all the time. And we're talking about this question of action, which is not based on a formula. Because all our action is based on formulas. From baby feeding to righteous behavior, and so on and on and on. Is there an action without idea, without a formula? And if there is such action, would it not be so disorderly? And therefore, there's no relationship to living. All that we know is action based on a formula. Right? And that action breeds conflict, repetition, boredom, and wanting to do something completely outside it. Therefore, revolt, and so on and on and on. So, when one is aware of all this, one naturally inquires if there is an activity or if there is an action related to life, not abstract, which is not based on a formula. You,
I think more or less we have to ask that question because as we look out of the tremendous amount of chaos there is, we can see what that action has produced.
quite.
So we more or less have to come to that question.
When you come to that question, how do you proceed? You have come to that question now. I'm putting, it's a challenge to you. You can say, well, I'm not interested, you go out, that's all right. But if you're interested, if it is a problem to you, what do you do? And you have to act. You can't just say, I won't act. Life is action. But life, for us, is action based on a formula. And you say, no, I see the whole implications of formula and the waste of energy and chaos it breeds. Then how will you act?
So aren't there a certain set of actions, the way I look at action, maybe a number of actions that one must not do?
No. Don't. What do you mean you must not do?
Well,
Who tells you?
Because I know, for one, that it would hurt my neighbor.
All right.
And anything...
But the actions which you know will hurt the neighbor, you may be hurting the neighbor about actions which you do not know, which you are not aware of.
That's true.
It isn't so simple. I don't want to hurt you. But if all my life is hurting you, the way I live, the way I think, the way, consciously I don't want to hurt you. But everything I do is hurting you.
Wouldn't I have to die to all action that
And that
had
I
preferred?
want to discuss this very important question, you see. If order is disorder, which is the result of formula and action, right, then order must be something entirely different. Right? And that order I'll have to discover. Therefore, I must find an action which is not based on formula. But how do you proceed after that? Go.
Wouldn't I have to die to
No,
all?
don't tell me. The fact is, action based on a formula is considered order, but it has produced disorder. Then, as a human being, seeing this, what will you do? And you must do, not just say, well, I can't do anything.
Perhaps I will act, but it will be, for the others at least, very strange perhaps, because
No. You can't. I'm not concerned with the others for the moment. You will act. How will you act?
yes, I tried to jump in a sea.
No, do think about it, sir. Do think about this thing.
I would have to die to all my actions that I performed in the past.
Oh no, they're gone. They're gone. I've insulted you, and you have formed an idea. You follow a pattern, and when you meet me, you dislike me. Or you say, "But Joe, I mustn't dislike people. I must love my neighbor," and that becomes a new pattern. And so you move from pattern to pattern to pattern.
But if my mind could forget,
Not could.
would.
No, what?
Will.
No.
It does.
You have, that's just it. If formulas produce disorder in action, in all our relationships, you don't say, I will, I must, I should not. You are finished with that, right? You are finished with the formula. The formula imposed by others or imposed upon yourself by yourself. Right? Then how will you act, which will be orderly, right? Which will be sequential, not disorderly, doing this and doing something else.
Well, then when I ask myself the question, wouldn't it be possible for me to act without going to formula?
Yes, put it any way you like. Formula being the habit, all the rest of it.
When you get to the point where you see this, and still you, at this point, are the effect of all the action based on habit and formula, repetition, what have you in the past. Consequently, if you're insensitive now, and you can see the cause of the insensitivity, this causes a disinclination towards the thing that. So now you're in this state of not knowing, in which you realize that anything you do is only going to make matters worse. Now, you're still dull as a result of your activity in the past. There doesn't seem to be anything to do except stay there in that dullness and see what happens. Now, is this...
The very act of seeing demands sensitivity. Therefore, the mind is sensitive, not remain in dullness.
It's sensitive to that particular thing, but it's not perceptive in the sense that it...
Quite.
Well, now isn't there a...
Wait, you will... So, we are putting this question, we are asking ourselves this question. We have acted according to a formula which has produced disorder, which has made the mind insensitive, right? Mm-hmm. Now, is it possible to... Not possible. How does one act without a formula? What does it mean?
Seems to me that you'd have to act without the memory.
Go into it, sir. What does it mean? When all our life, all our education, every philosophy says idea first and formula first and action afterwards. And you come along and say, look what this formula has done to you. And I see it. I say, but how true this is. And I'm left there. How do I take the next step? You follow?
There doesn't seem to be a step to take. You're just there until such time as things clear up.
I can't. Life is asking me to act. I have to go to the office. I have to eat, cook, wash dishes. You follow what I mean? I have to do things. I can't wait.
Well, they're more or less mechanical, physical things.
All right, even psychological things. I can't wait. So, look, there's a snake in the room. There is a snake in the room. What do?
You jump away.
Huh?
You jump away.
And then what? You watch it, don't you? It's a poisonous snake, and you watch it all the time, don't you? Huh?
So you watch the movement of thought the same way that you would watch a poison.
Exactly.
Which, again, I mean, I'm not trying to reach a conclusion. I mean, is this where you stay? You stay there watching?
Watching.
Period.
Full stop, of course.
Yeah.
There you watch through fear of the snake.
Here you watch through understanding.
Here you watch through understanding. Or rather, understanding has brought this watching. So understanding is watching. Right? So look at, now take the problem. Because it's really extraordinarily important problem, this. And one of the essential questions of life. To act without a formula and to act with formula. Those are two categorically different things. I have lived, acted, functioned with formula. And you come and say, look what you're doing. And I say, but you how true. Now I watch, don't I? Because I said how true it is. Not verbally, but actually how true it is. Right? Now I'm in a state of watching. So I do things through intelligent watching, not according to a formula. Right?
And this is the state in which
don't tell me.
No, I'm just going to... I see what you mean. This is the...
And then the fact is acting as much as you are. I mean,
of course, absolutely. That's just it.
It's adequate to...
That's right. You are then adequate to the challenge.
There's nothing between, yes.
That's right. There's no formula in between.
Not much more to say, is there?
No, there is a great deal more to say.
Sir, just take a practical example. Suppose you were going to the office every day and you're intelligently watching every moment.
Not in the office. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to the office.
And then you're in the office.
Yeah.
You give your mind to work.
Yes.
But I was saying, suppose before you go to work, you suddenly feel like intelligently watching the mountains. And yet there's something that says you must go to work.
No. You look at the mountain and keep on going.
And forget about work.
You can't. Then you lose your job.
Yes, that's the question.
So you watch the mountain on the way, take as much as you can, move.
But that isn't the very fact that you're going to your job, meaning that still for at least 8 hours a day you're bound by formula.
Yes, as society is constructed now, you have to. But there is, in America, you must know about this, a whole group of economists are saying automation and the science of cybernetics are going to take over. So that man is going to have great leisure. You and may not have it, but it's going to take place. Then how are we going to use our leisure? That's quite a different problem.
There have been another problem. Suppose you're walking down the street and feel a sudden urge to rob a bank.
Oh, no. And you know all the consequences of it.
Yes, but then again, are you bound by formula? Or?
No. Surely your own intelligence was going to operate there.
In other words, you say that as long as there is adequate intelligence, there is no such thing as evil. You cannot perform any matter of evil as long as you
Right,
are
that's
adequately
right.
intelligent. And do you think that the intelligence is sharp enough in human beings as they are?
No,
To avoid
obviously
all-
not.
And then you say, on the one hand, we must be intelligent. We must be intelligently aware every moment.
No, I say, sir, look how action based on a formula has brought about an extraordinary chaos in the world. The religious formula, the political formula, the formula of the economist, philosopher, you follow? The nationalists and the it has led us to this mess. And is there a way of acting differently? In inquiring into that, which is awareness of all this, is the understanding which brings energy, and that energy is going to operate with regard to the fact as it arises. And that's what you are saying.
But is the energy adequate each time to meet the fact?
Perhaps not, or perhaps yes.
And if it isn't?
Then it hurts to pick up and go on.
Is it possible never act without disturbing somebody?
Is it possible to act without disturbing somebody? All right. I am a nationalist, you are not a nationalist. You say things that will disturb me. What am I to do? I throw you out, or I throw stones at you, or put you in prison, or do something. You are a Catholic and I am not. And what I do disturbs you. So, now, I either do it purposely in order to disturb you, or I say this is right. Not the way you live. Not the way you think. This is right. And I pursue what I think is right. Either because it's my petty little jealousy or petty little mind that says this is right, or it is right in itself.
So, we've talked about thought and the thinker.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, I think we've understood that there is no such thing as the thinker, really. There is only thought.
Thought, that's right.
But then, who thinks? I mean, aren't we thought by somebody?
Ah, that's what makes sense.
Who thinks then? There is only thought.
There is only thought. If there is only thought, why should there be a thinker? Or who thinks?
There must be somebody who does.
And then again, you're back to the thinker and the thought.
Yeah.
Why do you want that?
So, look, sir, this is really very, very intricate and rather subtle problem. We know there is the thinker and thought. You see it in daily life. And we have kept these two separate. All our education, everything keeps these two separate. And to function only thinking is extremely difficult, extremely subtle. It demands great clarity. To come to that clarity, you have to see the whole pattern of the thinker and the thought. Right? Then there is only thinking. Not who is thinking, right? You know, sir, a drum is always empty. There's air in it, but it's always empty. When you tap it, there is a tone. Why can't we function that way? You follow what I mean? Or think only when there is a demand.
Yes, when we're kicked on, yes.
It doesn't matter when we are kicked on, when we are not kicked on, when we have to do things. Only think then, but the rest of the time, there is no thinker.
Well, then this also is the conservation of energy.
Of tremendous. You can't do this in order to conserve energy.
Sir, is that presupposing that the energy of the mind is completely analogous to the energy of matter? It could not be held, although I'm not sure of this, but it's always seemed more true to me that the more you use the mind, the better it becomes.
Now, all right, how do you use the mind? Either you use it wearing it out.
Can you wear out a mind?
Why not? It depends on the brain. Mind is the total thing, isn't it?
Yes.
The total, the organism of the body, the brain, the mind. The total mind is the total thing. But if the brain is in constant conflict, it warps, twists, and wastes the energy of the mind, doesn't it?
I don't think so. Or take the body. Any part of the body that's constantly used, doesn't it become stronger and better?
Yes, but you can use it in the wrong way or the right way.
That's true.
You can use it with strain or without strain. You can use it as a stimulating it, or strain it, and therefore there is no blood to it. You know.
But doesn't any exercise always have conflict in it? Any exercise? Whether it be of the body or of the mind?
Any exercise, if you do violent exercises, you have to exercise, you have to exert. But that exertion is the outcome of intelligence, instinct. Therefore, it is no longer a strain.
Well, is studying a strain, for example? Studying lessons in school, which is...
Because you don't like it, that's all.
Well, is there such a thing as exercising the mind? I think he was referring to this.
Is there?
I don't
think. No, so wait a minute. What do you mean by exercising? Thinking?
Thinking. In other words, not sitting back and never thinking unless you...
No. No, that is...
But thinking, for example, if you are just there and you just decide that you're going to think.
Oh, no.
This or that. Something piques your curiosity and you decide that, you don't decide, something moves your curiosity.
Something interests you and you think about it. You study, you go into it, you explore. Is that waste of energy?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But if you explore because it's going to give you pleasure, profit, you'll be better than somebody else at your job, then the whole waste of energy process begins. Isn't it obvious? It's a strain there. If I do something which I love to do, not because it's going to give me a profit or I'm going to be better than somebody else, then it is tremendously vital.
I'll take a practical example of a child or student, say 15, who says he doesn't love to do anything. Suppose he doesn't love to do any subject, maybe he just doesn't love to do anything. Should he be forced to study things that are good for him?
I wonder that maybe because nobody has taught him properly. I mean, that's, you know.
Perhaps he loves doing nothing.
And maybe. Then there must come a period when he wants to do something. You know, I mean, you can't just...
But suppose, I mean, I've met an awful lot of students, and I've met only a few that have really loved to think. Suppose a student or a boy 15 loves to do things that are really quite harmful to society.
But he's going to jolly soon learn that it's not...
Well, you know the statement in, I think it's in Think on These Things, or it could be the book before it.
I just mentioned it.
Yeah, and there's a sentence in there, or a statement in there, which says to the child, if you haven't found what you want to do when you're young, you'll never find it.
Mm-hmm. Now it makes sense. You know what a genius is? They have been described after investigation of 1,000 geniuses and more through history. They have found a genius is a person who, I haven't read any books, but I have been told about this, who has many, many interests. He can do many, many things with equal interest. But as he grows older, all that interest centralizes in one. Right? And from there he flowers. But with most of us, we are, there's children badly fed, the whole business of it. Therefore, there's very little opportunity for him to say, well, I'm really interested in this, I'll pursue it. And the majority of us are not interested in anything. So unless somebody helps us to become interested and take vital, you follow when you are 20, 30, and you want to become a scientist, it's out. You can't do it anymore.
Well, doesn't it more or less take a real perceptive person that can find this in a child?
That's it.
There's somebody that has gone through it more or less.
That means right teacher.
Yes.
Now, the teacher is becoming the audio-vision, television, all that. There's no direct contact with the pupil. So it's becoming more and more difficult.
Well, every teacher that you look at, too, is
quite,
yes, politically minded and all this kind of stuff. So, no matter which way you look, you find this.
Right.
So say that this child has grown up, never had this type of teacher that could spot little things along the way.
It's too late.
Now, is there like a line drawn at a certain age? Or
as in somebody said, beyond 30, there is nothing new.
Beyond 30?
30. They've said so. I may not be accurate.
I wonder also if a teacher, whatever his understanding and his perception may be, can help or really get to know a child in a system which seems to contradict that already.
Of course.
So you may have an excellent professor in a school which eliminates that from the beginning. So you take the child and the professor out of the school?
So what are you going to do? That's one of the problems of existence. If you are a very good teacher, in the sense we're talking about, and you've got 40 boys crammed into your... so you have...
Well, we have to start to change everything.
That's just it's a revolution.
Yes.
Sir, are there, you say it's good to get a child's interest in something. Are there things that is good, suppose a child becomes very interested in politics and starts funneling all his energy into
Why not?
one political
But
party?
funneling into politics all his energy, he's discarding others. And if you are the right teacher, you'll say, look, old boy, what you're doing. Huh? You got politics involves economy, social relationships, mathematics. You follow? Architecture, beauty, mountain, everything is involved in that. But stop and meet again, don't you? If you want to, I don't know.
Yes, sir.
Huh? All right, sir. You know the old track.
And it seems to be effective in a sense.
You know the old system, the old method, the old way of dealing with problems. Now, we are asking, is there a new way? Which is by getting at the root, you understand what I mean? Getting at some source of something. And that in becoming aware of that, all this process disappear. Have no meaning at all anymore. And you say what? You don't know, right?
Right.
Now, you don't know. There may be or may not be. Right?
Right.
Now, when you say you don't know, what do you mean by that? Wait, you have no answer?
You can't imagine it.
No, my lady, you're missing. He says, I don't know. I don't know any other way except this way. Right? All right. But you come along and say to me, there's another way of doing it. And I say, I don't know. Right? What is the state of my mind that says I don't know? Not with regard to this or that. You follow, sir? When you are put a new question and you answer, I don't know, which is the normal, healthy thing to do, I don't know, right? Right? Mm-hmm. Now, find out what you mean by I don't know. Are you waiting for an answer? Are you waiting for somebody to tell you in what way you will do this? Right?
Mm-hmm. I assume you have something in mind.
I have. I want you to proceed. So you are waiting for somebody to tell you.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But there is nobody to tell you. There is a question put to you, and nobody is going to tell you the answer.
And I don't know if there is an answer. I don't
of course,
know
you don't know.
validity.
You don't know.
Right.
But a question is put to you, which may have validity or not. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, either you throw away the question and no importance, or it's silly nonsense, can't be done, or you want to find out. Right? What is the mind that's going to find out? That's important, isn't it? Right?
Well, it seems like when I say, I don't know, and I know there's nobody to give me an answer,
What will you do?
Yeah.
Right, stop. What will you do?
It feels like to me, in a sense, I don't exist.
No, sir. No. You're too quick. You're not watching. You're not watching the state of the mind that says, I don't know. That's because...
Well, when I say not exist, I don't mean go out of existence. It seems like it knows there's no possible way of getting it.
So what will you do? They may be aware, they may not be aware.
It seems like it just waits or it's suspended.
Wait, so that's it. We use the word I don't know, right? Right?
Yes, I don't know.
You don't know.
It just waits.
Wait. Waiting for what? For somebody to tell you?
Well, if I know there's nobody to tell me...
And there is nobody to tell you, what will you do? Go back to the old?
It stays that way.
No, you're go back to the old?
What would you give an answer?
I say I don't know. And if I know there's nobody going to
And
tell me,
nobody can tell you.
well, then it has no sense.
But you have to find out.
No, it's a dead end.
No, you have to find out.
So
Wait a minute, sir. He has described the process of a crisis and all the rest of it. And one goes through life that way. Hmm? And somebody comes around and tells you, look, there's maybe a different way, look for it. Hmm? He doesn't tell you which way to look. Look for it. And you say to him, I really don't know how to look. Hmm? I only know the old habit, but I don't know how to look, right? And he says, who is going to tell you? And he tells you, nobody can tell you. Hmm? You have to find out. It may be a false or it may be something real. You have to find out. And he goes on for adding, saying, you can only find out by discovering what the state of your mind is when you say, I don't know. Is it really you don't know, or you're waiting for somebody to tell you? Right, sir?
I don't see, I don't perceive. Is that...
No, we've gone ahead.
I mean, it's when you say I don't know, it means I don't see...
I don't see how to tackle this whole problem in the way you are suggesting.
Yeah.
Right? When you say I don't know, find out what is the state of the mind that says I don't know. Waiting for an answer? Waiting for somebody to tell you? If somebody told you and you did it, you'd be back again the same pattern.
You can see that, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if somebody told you to be the new authority, it would be the old authority of habit. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, there's nobody to tell you. So what has happened to your mind when the question, you have to find a new way and nobody will tell you? Hmm? Right?
I'm trying to watch, and my mind seems relatively tranquil.
Which means what? Go ahead, pursue it, sir.
One more or less senses the futility of thinking, trying to find the answer through thinking about it. One sees the
But if you don't know about it, how can you think about it?
Well, that's what I was...
And stop it, sir. If you don't know, what happens? If I'm lost, I don't know, I stop.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't.
Don't stop?
You don't stop, you go on.
You can
isn't the when one stops.
Look, sir, I'm in the wood. I'm lost. I don't know any way, and there's nobody to tell me. What do I do? First, I stop.
Right.
I don't go to run around in circles.
Now, when
You hit it, stop. Right?
it's a pleasant state, but it doesn't seem to be rather any.
It's neither pleasant nor. First, instead of going around in circles, you first have to stop, right? And you won't go back to the old way.
Which is thought.
Taking each problem,
A bit further.
you follow all that. You won't go back to that way. Right? Because there may be a new way. You know very well the old way. You've been treading it for 50, 60, 30, 20 years. You know the old ways, but you discard that. You have discarded it the moment you say, I don't know. Right? Oh, come on.
Are you saying that when a person has this habit, that then they say, I don't know?
No. When you have this habit and you have fought with it, reached a crisis, as you described about smoking, drinking, all the rest of it, then you live with it and it disappears, fades away. And come up again. It doesn't fade away completely, it comes up again.
Or another one?
Either the same one or another one. Because we have masses of habits. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
That he's not quite sure about it.
No, I can't get it straight in my mind. It seems to me that it's possible to be aware of an inclination, a habit, without fighting with it. You seem to bring the two together. It's possible to look at something, to watch it, to endure the pain caused by it without struggling as a self or
Quite.
something
I understand
else.
that. That's agreed. I see the
Right.
point.
Now, when one, through watching the
That thing-
movement of one's various habits and seeing the
Do you watch the various movements of your habits at one glance?
one
or
watches whatever happens
So,
to
wait,
be moving.
therefore, you watch each movement as it arises.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
And
without doing anything.
and it disappearing, fading,
Uh,
or living with it. Neither indulging
nor resisting.
nor resisting.
And with every habit that one can watch this way,
Right. We understand that. So, as I have dozen habits and more, conscious and unconscious, I have to do this. Bring, as it arises, go through that. Right?
when you say go through it,
I mean, become aware of it as it arises.
right,
Neither accepting it nor rejecting it.
right,
Living with it. And something taking place in it. Right?
yeah,
And it is, I have got many habits, not just 2 or 3.
but through this awareness, one comes to the point where one sees from what it is that all these habits stem from.
Right. Now,
it's through.
So it is not necessary to go through all the habits.
Right.
Now wait a minute. Stop there for a minute. So you have found out for yourself, it is not necessary to go through all, analyze, let them come to the surface, deal with them. You follow?
Yeah.
It is not necessary. So, you can get rid of all of it through one by being aware, neither indulging nor resisting, you are free of all the habits.